Hello, this is Jim Duffy of Refining Fire Chiles. www.superhotchilies.com. I thought I'd give you guys a walkthrough into other stuff we're growing. My property goes back about 20 feet beyond this tree line over here. So what we've done last year is we went kind of overboard. We bought a bunch of berry bushes and a bunch of fruit trees. Some failed and died. The soil isn't the best here. But we dug out the hole and put in compost in the hole for the trees anyway, in the hopes that it would give it a good start. Now, some things came back and some things didn't. As you are well aware, if you're not aware, let me make you aware now. The food supply, because a lot of farmers had problems, drought last year in California and fires, and of course, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but there's been a lot of plant and food manufacturing facilities that had problems and drain derailments. So let's just face it. We're probably going to see more rising food prices. And we're also going to start seeing some shortages. Now, I don't mean short like everybody's going to starve like in a West African nation. But you're not going to have the choices that you had before. So if you have property, instead of making your backyard be 100% green, pretty lawn, you might want to take a chunk of it and plant a few fruit trees that are good for your area and some berry bushes. I mean, if anything, you might save 10 to 15% in food costs every year, which can add up. So we'll show you what we put back here. We put back some jujube trees. They're kind of a tart cherry type tree. They came back, but they're really small. I don't think we'll see anything off of this for the next year or two. At least 2 more years. This is a privet hedge, wild privet hedge behind it. I'm going to trim it back when I get the time to give this thing some more space. And here's another one here, and it came back. Here's a pawpaw tree. It lost all its leaves after we transplanted. You don't want to transplant close to the hot summer, like after May or June. Trees or berries. Even though there's tons of them for sale at your Home Depot and your nurseries, it's not a good idea. Because if you get hot, dry conditions, the plants will struggle to survive, which is what killed some of the stuff I planted. But this pawpaw tree came back really good. And pawpaws are native to North America. They have like an ice cream type of flavor, an ice cream banana flavor. And they're pretty tasty. The reason why you don't see them in the supermarkets is their shelf life is very, very limited. So by the time they got to your grocery store, they'd be getting kind of mushy. So pretty much, they're not going to see them in your grocery store ever. Down over here, we have some mint and some more mint over there. You see these weeds over here, some people call it creeping Charlie. So what we're doing is we're growing mint and lemon balm all over the place in the hopes that it gets invasive, which mint does get invasive, and so does lemon balm. And it takes over this area from the weeds. And another reason why we planted a lot of mint and lemon balm is small rodents don't like it. So hopefully that'll deter them from coming from the woods into my grow area and munching on my chili plants. So we've got some mint and lemon balm. I really can't tell the difference unless I taste the leaf or smell them, because mint and lemon balm look so much alike. Moving along here, it's blackberries, and then there's more blackberries. We've got blackberries, as you're going to see, and raspberries all over the place. They will turn into a wild giant bush or hedge. So we're hoping to just fill in this whole area with berries. Here's some more mint or lemon balm that came back after the winter. There's raspberries right there. Raspberries again. Raspberries again. Blackberries. You know, you can make jams, preserves. You can dehydrate. You can buy a freeze dryer and freeze dry it for long-term food storage up to 20 years, 25 years. So you can never have enough of this food. And like I said, if stores ever kind of close down temporarily or they're out of fresh produce, you'll have plenty of stuff to get you through the winter. Over here we have a cranberry bush. Now this is not like the cranberries you grow in bogs in the Northeast. It's a different type of cranberry. And if I lived further south, I wouldn't be able to grow it because it would not want to produce, because it has to have a frost time for the plant to do well every year. So you got to have nights go down here and there into the 20s or a couple of nights in a row. You got to have that. So if I lived south of Atlanta and I didn't live in North Georgia, there's no way I would be able to grow it. But it can get about 6 foot wide and 6 foot high. Over there's another one, and it's flowering, as you can see. So they came back. In here we have a pear tree. It's called a kefir pear tree, and it came back, so that survived. Moving along here, raspberries, raspberries. Some more lemon balm. And lemon balm grows really well. If you're going to grow lemon balm or mint, grow it in a pot. Unless, like here, this is out by the woods, so I don't care if it goes all over the place. But grow it in a pot, because if you put it in your garden, it'll get invasive and it'll cover everything. But lemon balm, especially extract of lemon balm, is calming. So it helps relax you. It's very good for children as well. So you could take some of this and blend it into some kind of a sweet smoothie that your kids will drink. And it's very calming. Calming. C-A-L-M-I-N-G. Calm. So it's good for nerves. So try to keep your kids off the drugs, because every drug has a side effect. Even though I'm not a doctor, some herbs have side effects. Oh, look at that wind going. We're getting straight line winds here. We just hold on for dear life and hope a tree doesn't fall on the property. This peach tree died. There's another kefir pear right there. And then over here we have some lemon balm, which is thriving. So we'll have plenty of lemon balm for medicinal use. This peach tree, an Alberta peach tree, and I bought cheap peach trees that were bare root, just stuck them in the ground. Really not knowing what I'm doing, but now I'm a little better at it. So this peach tree is still alive. It's not dead yet. We'll try to give it some time to come back. If not, we'll just yank it. And then over here we've got some more lemon balm or mint right there and right there. And right over here we have another raspberry bush. And we have blackberry. And we've got raspberry, blackberry. Over there where you've seen that green stake, I'm in flip-flop, so I don't want to go too far. Where that green stake is that's standing up, there's a mulberry tree there. And it has come back. So we're growing 2 mulberry trees. I'll show you the other one. Here's the other mulberry tree. You can see some greenery popping out at the bottom. And we don't know if these are going to grow to full-size trees and produce fruit. We don't know. The soil here is got some coal ash in it from the retired mill. You can't see, it's a textile mill that closed down in the 2000s behind me. And a lot of that soot and ash, kind of charcoal-like, is in the ground here in the woods. That was before a lot of standards for EPA and stuff to not do that. I imagine you can't do it now. So anyway, so a lot of stuff grows here. The wild stuff will grow, but it's not, some of these trees and berry bushes don't like it, which is why a bunch of them died last year. This is a recently transplanted elderberry. Here's an elderberry that came back. Here's an elderberry that came back, and then a recently transplanted elderberry. And then we have a Honeycrisp apple tree. You can see we've got quite a bit. This is my land. I might as well use it. I know the deer and some other animals will take some of these berries and stuff from me, but they won't take all, so I'll get a bunch. Also, if you're growing out on the perimeter of your property like this, not in your yard where you got your dog or cat, if you put blood meal around the plants, the deer and a lot of other small animals like raccoons do not like blood meal. So what likes, and blood meal feeds your plants. So what does like blood meal? Dogs and cats, specifically dogs. They like the stinky smell, so they'll dig up your plant. So if you have a lot of dog traffic or dogs having access to area, don't use blood meal, okay? If you are going to use it, put it in a small amount below the root ball, deep under the ground. Don't sprinkle it around the outside of your plants or your dogs will dig it up. I already know this because I have dogs. So we have a Honeycrisp apple tree. This whole trellis is muscadine grapevines, various species of muscadine. Muscadine grapes are native to North America, mainly in the southeast. And we have a few that came back. And then we have one or two we planted this year. Really, one vine will take up this whole place, but we've got 5 plants. Here's some more muscadine. They will take up this whole trellis. So in about 2 years, I should have a lot of muscadine grapes. You know. Then over here we have a blueberry bush that came back. Then we have another blueberry bush that came back. Up here towards the front of my property, this is a newly transplanted apple tree. It's a pink lady dwarf apple tree. So it'll only get about 10, 12 feet high, maybe about 6 to 10 feet wide. And if you prune it, you'll be able to get to all the apples on a ladder. Now, some of you might be planting a full-size apple tree or a full-size pear tree. I don't recommend it unless you're going to really keep it low. I recommend the dwarfs or the semi-dwarfs. Why? Because when you get a giant apple tree that's 20, 30 feet tall, a lot of those apples are just going to rot. You're never going to get to them. And they're going to fall on the ground, and you're going to get flies and all kinds of wasps and bees that are attracted to them. So it's better you have a tree where it's tall enough to keep the deer from eating it, but you can get on a ladder and get pretty much all of your harvest. Now, the birds you can't really do anything about unless you put netting over the tree. There'll be birds that'll come by and poke holes in your fruit, apples or peaches, and then they'll rot and they'll fall down. But again, the more stuff you plant, the more stuff you get, and the animals get what they get. And over here we have a dwarf peach tree. We just planted this. As you can see, it's starting to bud out. So we've got 2 peaches and 2 apples now that are alive. Right now. So we've got another peach back there that's coming back. We've got... Nope, the other peach, sorry. This peach we put a cage around because the deer were getting to it. But it's came back really nice. So we've got 2 peaches and 2 apples. Really, we have 3 peaches if that one in the back comes back, but I don't know if it's going to come back or not. We planted rosemary last year because deer hate rosemary. So we planted rosemary, but the frost that we got when we get down to 0 with the wind chill factor killed all the rosemary. So we're probably going to plant about another dozen rosemary. I've got 6 of them in the garage right now under lights. Just keeping them cozy. I'll plant them probably in the next week or 2. So blood meal will deter a deer and a lot of other critters, and so will rosemary. And lemon balm and mint, if you have a border or that outside an area where you don't care if it grows wild, small rodents, mice, shrews, moles do not like lemon balm, and they do not like mint. So it's very possible to plant plants around your property or near your garden that deter animals that will destroy them or take too much from them. Moving along here, we've got some cascabel pepper plants that we repotted. I'm going to bring them up to my friend's house, and we'll continue to grow them one more year. Here's a couple cascabel that we have not repotted. We started these in August. We got some seeds off of them. That's why the seed's on the website for it. And then over here, we have 2 blueberry bushes full of blueberries. I don't think the deer will come this close to my house. On the other side of my house, on the border of the woods, we have 2 more blackberry plants. So that's it for all my blackberries and my raspberries. Later on, I'll take you on a tour of the sweet potatoes and potatoes I'm growing and show you what I'm doing with that. Okay? This is Jim Duffy, a Refining Fire Chiles. And I hope you've learned something. Use your land to grow extra food, especially now. We've never had an economy like this since the Great Depression. We never have had an economy like this. Even when in the 70s or part the 80s when we had high inflation, we did not have the food go up to where hardly anybody could afford their grocery bills. We've never had this in history, except for the Great Depression, as far as I know. So, now's the time. Plant you some berry bushes that'll go crazy. Plant yourself some grapes. Plant yourself some fruit trees. They'll take a couple years before you get anything off them. Do it now, because in the future, you might be restricted in buying some of these trees and bushes. Who knows what our weirdo government will do. So you all take care now. Bye-bye.